Thank you. All right, boys and girls. Here, lucky listeners.
You lucky listeners, exactly. That's who they are, lucky listeners.
Thank you for joining us once again for another episode of Not Your Common Conversation.
Welcome.
Episode 8. We're moving up.
Moving along,
and we have a guest.
Prolific people, yeah.
We have a guest.
Yes.
Ianessa
Humbert.
God darn it.
He's terrible
I did
with
it
names.
again.
Don't worry about it. He calls
Humbert.
That's right.
Humbert.
Yeah, Humbert.
All right. So you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure.
Yeah.
So my name's Ianessa Humbert, and I have a keen sense of justice. I'm very confident. I am a lifelong learner, and I get bored very easily. I love stimulating intellectual conversation. And I especially love it when people think they know something, but they haven't really thought it through, and then we can just dig into that.
Ooh.
I love music, and I love food.
Music. She loves music.
And
You love music. You play an instrument?
I do.
What do
I
you
used
play?
to be a piano major.
What?
I did not. I know you sing.
I mean, sure, but the training is all in
We gotta
piano.
have you. We gotta have you.
Yeah.
Do a jam session.
For a small fee.
Oh, she's that kind of musician.
So, just to let everybody know,
just joking.
Professional musician.
I think this is a good time to plug that all the music for our show is original music that
That's right.
Omar and myself composed.
That's
Nice.
right.
Yeah,
Have
that's
you
right.
heard any of it?
I have not.
She hasn't heard the show. She
All right.
will, though. She will. She'll hear this show. She'll
will.
definitely hear this one. So we're going to dig right into this. Well, do we want to mention our last podcast? Because people might be wondering.
All I can say is to be continued, and thanks to Phil and Vance for participating in that.
Yeah.
But that subject is so hot right now, and
The subject of Israel
and Palestine. Exactly.
Hamas.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. I'm not gonna.
Gaza.
Gotta watch my tongue.
Yeah, watch your tongue.
Zip.
We're going to talk more about that later. Lucky listeners.
Before we jump in, I just want to give a congratulations to Chris because he got some good news.
I did get some good news that I am a Grammy nominated person right now.
What?
I did sound on the Dave Chappelle show, the What's in a Name. I got
Wow.
news, and
Where did you find this out?
this weekend. I didn't mention it. Sorry.
I knew before you.
I know.
I thought we were friends.
We talk all the time.
I mean, my God.
Yeah,
text message, email.
I got a call, and so we'll see what happens. Hopefully, wins. I was the first camera, the main camera, and I did sound.
Fantastic!
So
Congratulations.
I'm sure it has more to do with Dave Chappelle than me, but nonetheless, I'm thankful and appreciative.
Absolutely.
And so I want to also mention that we have Brandon in the house.
Our engineer.
What's up, everybody?
/
Engineer
producer,
spectacular.
co-producer. And you say a few things.
What's up with y'all? Making sure everything sounds right.
Okay.
Cool.
With these gentlemen and lovely
Thank you.
guests right now, ready to get into it.
And we got Mark on camera over there.
Yeah,
Rocking
yeah.
the camera.
We got Mark on
Rocking the
camera.
So,
Is there a
so
camera up
I'm
there?
going to dig right in. So I want to get you on here because we've had discussions. I know Brandon, you and I have had discussions about relationship, men, what men don't know about women, what women don't know about men. And there's something, something is missing. Like there's a lot of single people out here. And we don't seem to be communicating authentically or effectively, and something's missing. What do you think?
I think people lie to themselves mostly.
Ooh.
First.
About what?
Yeah.
Give us an example of what
Yeah.
you mean. Like what lie, as an example, comes up?
As an example, I won't speak for men. Not
Okay.
yet. I want to hear from you
Okay.
first.
That's
Okay.
But if I'm speaking for women, I hear a lot of lying to themselves with examples like, I don't need a man is an example of one.
I've heard that one.
I think the statement is misplaced. I think what they're saying is, I could survive in this world without a man in a way that I wouldn't have been able to 50 years ago.
Right.
But I wouldn't prefer it that way because I like companionship and partnership, etc. But it comes out, I don't need a man. And they're thinking about a time when a woman literally in a generation before us needed a man to have a credit card, to have a house, like just to be safe. And you still generally do need that.
Right.
It doesn't make me feel good as a man to hear a woman say that.
But I
by
think
the way.
that people have taken that tagline, and it's been in Hollywood and all kinds of places.
Right.
And then there's this whole empowerment thing that you have to say these things, right? It's almost like, think of segregation, right? It's like, oh, there was a time where we actually really did have to do things by ourselves and didn't need white people in the neighborhood. And then what happened when we mixed, right? It's like the opposite of that.
Right.
We used to mix and rely on each other, and now it's like going into segregation. But I don't think that it has to be so binary, right?
For men and women.
Yeah, so I think that when you say why a lot of people single, is because if that's running in your head, then when somebody comes to you and says, hey, I think you're attractive, I'd like to get to know you, and you're thinking, and the part of your narrative is, I don't need a man, the first sign of anything not being perfect is like, well, I don't need one anyway.
Yeah,
it's like you're a chaise lounge or something, like I don't need one. It's like,
right.
So if it's not the perfect one, you're not
so
going to spend money on it, right?
Oh my God, an accessory.
Yeah. If you think of a whole gender as an accessory, then when the going gets tough, what are you going to do? Say, I don't need it. And I think that narrative is what's kind of fucking people up.
Well, that's, it's interesting you should say when you think of a whole gender as an accessory, because I would dare to assert that there are probably quite a few guys out here who consider women as an accessory.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have what we have, which is a breakdown in companionships and relationships. And I'm not speaking for you. I'm just making an observation based on what you said.
Yeah.
And hopefully it makes sense. But what I'm also hearing you say is that there's a real lack of authenticity, because behind I don't need a man is this real sense of, well, like you said, well, I can survive without him right now, and I do want companionship. Yeah, so that's what, in your opinion, would have a person actually be authentic in a conversation. Let's say you and I just met at, I don't know, what's the famous place you go to?
A famous place I
Yeah,
go to?
a popular
Starbucks
place.
or something like
Starbucks.
that?
Starbucks
Panera.
or Society Lounge, right?
All these places.
Couple of people attracted to one another, then, I don't know.
Society Lounge.
Whatever.
Is that where you're hanging out?
Whatever.
Okay.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So, if you're sitting somewhere and I walk up on you and you don't know me, you know what that's about. I'm saying, more than likely it's because I'm interested in you. I think you're interested in me. Let's strike a conversation. And then, there's this whole song and dance that happens in place over, in lieu of an authentic conversation. I'm just making this assumption. Does it sound like it makes sense?
But you walk up to a woman, you or any other woman, and the assumption is you're interested in me. You're
Right.
interested in romantically, intimately, and that doesn't necessarily, it's not necessarily so. It could be, you look like somebody I know. It could be a work-related thing. It could be, it could be any number of things. I would say at least probably 60 or 70% of the time that is the case, that you're interested in them intimately or wanting to get to know them. But you don't, I think you should seize that opportunity just to talk to the person, because you don't know what's going to come out of it.
Can we talk about that real quick?
Sure, please.
So to your point, if somebody comes up to you and this person is a man, let's say they'll come up to me and this person is a man, and the conversation starts in whatever way, not like what's your sign, right? Because like Jesus Christ, but just like,
And what's the worst question that
the worst question that I've
you
ever
ever get
had
asked for
is
somebody
like,
trying to court you?
What's
you
the
know what
rap
I
out in the
hate?
street?
I hate it when people say, it's not even the first off the cuff question or just a question in general. I think
I'm gonna
the
take
worst
notes
one.
here.
Now, from somebody that's like trying to court you, obviously,
Yeah.
like maybe like a date or something like that.
Okay,
It's a
see
terrible
you in
question.
a club. Like we met in a restaurant at first.
You know what I hate? I'm going to tell you what I hate. I
Okay.
hate it
Here we go.
when a guy goes, they do their hoop and hollering, God damn, can't nobody get you, huh? Can't nobody get you,
Right.
huh? And you're like,
Yeah, do the hoop and holler. That's
Jesus,
funny.
can't nobody get you? So you're opting out of the application process? Because go for it.
Right.
Like, what is this?
What are you
you
supposed to do
asking
after that?
if I'm interested?
Right.
Can't nobody get you, huh?
Right.
I know, can't nobody get you.
That's
You
our
don't want
way of-
nobody here, do you? Like,
Reverse psychology.
Yeah, that's a Jedi mind trick, right? That's what that is, a Jedi. Hoping you're going
and they actually want you to answer it.
Yeah,
And so
right,
what do you
yeah.
do in that situation?
I usually ask them why they've asked me that question.
Oh yeah,
Ooh,
get
put
right.
one
to
Why
the
did you
point.
ask me that?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, like, you're so attractive, so I just figured, like, can't nobody get you. You asked me that, so you knew what you were asking me before you came here.
Terrible approach too, by the way.
It's
guys.
terrible.
Terrible.
But I think when guys do that, it's an icebreaker. They're trying to weigh in.
But the
They wanna
suggestion
weigh in.
is that
You're too embarrassed.
my shell determines my capacity and interest in companionship, and that's not the
That's
case.
not the way. See,
love
Well, you're a
that.
smart
There's this
woman.
idea that if somebody looks a particular way, they're shallow and they're uninterested in connection. And so when you say can't nobody get you, that means
Yeah,
your standards
wow.
is high. You'd rather be alone.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
Yeah.
So you came here with your 40 how many ever years of assumptions and dumped it on me, and now I need to dispel those?
Right.
This is your game?
Yeah. That's a lot.
Wow, that's interesting. You know what? I hear something else in that I'm going to ask you about is like the expression and the reflection of beauty. I think on some level people find it attractive and intimidating at the same time, right? So basically, that's why the guy says, "Can't nobody get you because you're so fine," blah blah blah, right? So there was a question under there about. Is there, this is going to sound crazy, but is there too much of an expression or reflection of beauty, knowing full well they could shut other people down or put them into the shell where they say things like that to you?
Are you saying can a man be so obsessed with that they sort of end it before it started?
Yeah, sort of unconsciously.
It depends on what they're doing. So I think there's two approaches that women understand, and the best way I like to explain this is if you're a black person who's lived around a lot of white people, and you kind of have a sense of who's a cool one and who's like, not with that one.
Right.
Women get that too from men, but somehow they think we don't know. After all these years of being a woman, we can't tell that you're one of those guys.
Right.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So as an example, if they have something to say to you, some guys are just sort of basically captivated, and they're just like, look, I'm just telling you you're gorgeous, and that's all I have to say.
Yeah,
Bye.
right.
And some guys are just like, they're just ready to stick their dick in you like in 5 seconds, and you can feel that energy. And so if that's the case, and
Sometimes women give that energy off, though. They have on something really so,
true.
revealing
Provocative.
that it's like,
Provocative.
you look like somebody on Instagram.
and we know what's on your Instagram.
Let's not talk about that. Anyway, I got uncomfortable.
But what I was going to say is that when the conversation happens, it starts out with all of these questions that start generally, and you feel like you're on an interview for a job you didn't apply for. What's your name? Where are you from? You went to Howard? And they're just narrowing it down to, can I get the number? Can I get your pussy? Like, it's just
Or
there's
they're trying
a
to
final
find some
question there.
commonality that they can lock into and relate to.
It could be, but
Yeah.
my point is, what I'm trying to say is that when you recognize that they say things like, I just want to be, what I'm saying, I just want to get to know you better. I just want to be your friend. You don't need my number to get to know me better. We're right here. Let's talk. Let's talk. Guess
Yeah.
what? Because my number is an indication that there's going to be a follow-up. I'm trying to determine if that's the case.
Sure.
So let's talk.
Yeah.
No, I don't want you to leave with I'm not going anywhere. Let's talk. You should be able to express who you are in this short amount of time. I should be able to understand that. Oh, I just want to be your friend. Oh, so you don't want to have sex? Perfect. Oh, I didn't say that. So, like, it's just like they're not clear. They don't want to be honest about what they want. Just fucking say it. I can feel that dick from across the room.
I can feel that
From
dick
across the room.
across
And when you finally let it lead you here,
Gee.
and then you won't admit that that's what led you here, now I realize that you don't know who you are and you're not honest about who you are. And if that's who you are, just own it. That's cool.
Well, I think
if you just want to smash, I probably already know, but you want to say something to get me to give something up that I might not want to give up.
Well, I think it's about feeling your way around. You're trying to see who's in front of you. Is this just a snatch and grab? Can I just, take her in the bathroom and get it done? a one and done, or is this a meaningful kind of thing? And I should spend more time and have a conversation. So I think people, men and women, put certain, especially men, of course, put certain feelers out there and say certain things to see what the response is going to be, so that they can,
So, but you're saying exactly my point, which is people approach somebody with. They have this sort of hierarchy of needs, right? Like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay, basic, am I even going to get some pussy? Am I going home without any at all?
But you can't.
Hold on. Why you keep interrupting me? You brought me on the show to say stuff.
Please.
So if you have all this hierarchy of needs and you're like, okay, maybe she's just going to be a cool person that I get to know, and maybe there's going to be something. If you know you have that range and you're going based on her clothes, that she looks like she's provocative Instagram, where that's what she's about, then you can't differentiate the shell from the internal. So we're busy trying to let you know who we are and who we're not. And you're trying to figure out, well, what is this going to be? And if everyone's just kind of authentic, we don't have to play that game.
But is it fair to say that we all, to some degree, judge books by their cover?
We all do.
Yes.
But we don't admit we do. That's the issue. You know what I like about Wall Street?
Yeah.
Wall Street, they're like, we're all about the money.
Yeah.
You know what I don't like about academia? They don't want to say they're about money. Same with healthcare. They don't want to say they're about the money, and they fucking are.
And we
so
know
just be a man who says, this is what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Cause actually I agree. Like when it comes to like approaches and stuff, like if it's you, I think you should be respected more than you should be liked. Like I think that you should come from a position of abundance, not scarcity, when you're talking to like a woman. Like at any point in time, and sometimes, far as me, I'm a little bit younger, but when I'm out here, I just feel like the toughest thing I had to deal with was just understand that the level that I'm at might be high, but it might not be the actual level that I'm at. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I think that it garners some type of attention from women. So if you're at a certain type of level, but you pick your head up a little bit too fast, you might get a woman that needs a certain type of man, you'll say.
Right.
But you might not be able to do 60 to 70% of the job. Like you might be at 50. Now, if you give yourself 6 months and you know what I'm saying, relax and handle what you got to handle, and you spin back around, then you'll be more in a position of, like, dare I say it, leverage, which is not a good thing to say.
But I know what you mean.
Relationships are all about leverage. You know what I mean? So
you said most of us don't have the patience. That's actually key.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because green flags take time. Green flags are never immediate.
I agree.
Because anyone will say anything to get something they want from you immediately. The question is, can you keep that going? Red flags can be immediate, right? Somebody can be just a total wrong person for you right away. Green flags take time.
Do you coach and or counsel couples or people who are interested in a relationship, or?
Do you really?
So, I that's what Ianessa Humbert Consulting is.
Okay.
Most of my time, I really deal with people with legitimate swallowing disorders, like who have medical conditions, etc. But as part of working with Gulp Group, I ended up, and after being on the Oprah Winfrey Network's Love and Marriage, then I got a lot of requests for that. So, but it's always men asking questions.
Sure.
It's rarely, almost always
Why do you
men.
think so? Why is that?
Because
they just want to get in your pants.
No.
I'm just, I'm just saying.
Scratch that, folks.
No, don't scratch that. I'm just saying.
No, these are men. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not going to say they don't. I'm not.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just saying that's not why they're approaching me. I mean, on that level, like I want to talk to you about like further consulting. They're not, there's like more talking about their issues as what is my problem? Like, why can't I either close a deal or stick around, or like what are my issues?
Right.
And I've sort of, you guys have heard of incels, right?
Incel?
Yeah,
No.
involuntary celibates. Incels.
No.
So you've never heard of incels.
That's like a millennial term.
I didn't register.
Well, they're really sure, but incels are people who are men who troll the internet and have terrible things to say about women, and the reason is because they want women, but the women's standards are so high that they then have an issue with women that they don't like them. Maybe they're nerdy or dorky, or they're just kind of weird, whatever it is.
That's interesting. There's a
so wait, I didn't finish my point.
Oh, excuse me.
What I was going to say is that you have incels, but my thing is the opposite. Most people I talk to are what I call the Hulk smash. You guys know.
Say more about that.
Incels are men who can't get women because the women's standards are too high, and so they have a problem getting any woman.
And that's in their head, though.
talking
Right?
No, it's
about
real.
this
It's
now.
real life.
Oh, it's real life.
The opposite, in my opinion, are what I would call the Hulk smash. These are men who also disrespect women because they make themselves too available. These are men who don't like women who just let them smash. They say things about, she ain't never a hoe. I'm like, didn't you fuck her? I mean, yeah, so what does that make you? I mean, but you know, she shouldn't be so loose. But you're fucking everyone who will open their legs. So you're mad at women because with low standards because you can't say no and they won't say no to you. So now you don't value it and you're a tool.
Wow.
You're like the opposite.
You can't say no. That's deep.
You
A
know
lot of
about
men
this
can't
world?
say no.
I don't know anything about this world. So.
What? Get out of here, man.
Incel or
Regardless of what you call it, the archetype is the extreme end is the men who can't get a woman and the men who get so much that they actually devalue themselves and women as a result.
You change that around because
I just don't work that way. It's just I don't play
Well,
those
I
kind
didn't
of
say
games.
you.
No, I'm just saying. So I don't. My head's not there to even think about putting that much energy. And, you know, it's just meeting someone and getting to know them, and you know, not putting a necessarily an expectation. Like, because I meet women sometimes, and I just want to. We're friends. You know.
yeah. Okay.
I think.
Yeah, we didn't know where he was going. It was like,
Would I hit it if the opportunity? No, just.
of course you would.
Yeah,
No,
that's so
not
honest.
all the time. No.
So I got a real important question
Yeah.
here. What is
I
your
got
sign?
standards.
Guess.
Yeah, what is?
Well, I don't
Are
know.
we talking about this?
You remind me of myself, and I want to say you're Aquarius, but I don't know if
Hey,
that's
I'm an
right.
Aquarius. I didn't know we was. Hey, I'm the same. I'm an Aquarius. Yeah.
I'm Gemini.
Oh my
Gemini.
gosh! Oh my gosh! Okay, cool. No, I have
Damn.
my wife's a Gemini. My ex-business partner's a Gemini.
You
My
can't
best
tell me
friend that
Gemini,
I
that's
grew
what
up
they
with
say.
is a Gemini.
June 2nd.
Really.
June 2nd.
And then the young lady I used to work with at a previous practice was a Gemini, and we all hit it off very well. I mean, yeah, it's really interesting.
So what else do we want to talk about in terms of men and women?
Well, you know, I'd like to find out from you and your experience. First of all, I want to preclude this by saying that lately on social media, a few women have popped up who are speaking up on behalf of men, which is really interesting. One is Sarah Dawn Moore. I don't know if you're familiar with her.
Maybe. Keep saying more.
All right. Well, she's the only name that I know, but she's a white girl out of Florida, and she says things like, basically, she calls women to account in a way that she's like, well, I'm just going to paraphrase so that, and hopefully you guys get the point. But she'll say things like, you know, when a guy goes quiet, he's usually thinking about how to bring peace to a rough situation, right?
You mean a guy that's already in a
Yeah, it's in a
relationship
relationship, you know, and if there's some conflict, you know, he'll withdraw because he just wants to bring peace to the situation. All right? And she'll go on to say, and ladies, give him a chance, basically. Give him the space to you know,
hear him out?
yeah, not just hear him out, but just give him space.
Oh.
Because oftentimes, you know, my experience has been when you're in a relationship and there's something that there's a breakdown over you know, the female part of it will want an answer now and will want things now.
A lot of
and
emotions.
now. And it's like now. Like they won't be satisfied until they get it. And so the guy needs to retract and refrain and just like, I got to think about this. But the other point, the main point of it is that she tends to, and I found this with her and a couple of others on TikTok. They're basically saying to women to, well, I don't want to say not hold in this high standards, but to just give guys a break and appreciate some of the smaller things.
Do you agree with that? Is that what you're getting at?
I mean, yeah, on some level I do. You know, it's interesting because I find that it's kind of tied in with this conversation about power. And the conversation about power has been that, well, men have always had the power. And I've never agreed with that. I never agreed with that because yeah, maybe financially, maybe politically, right?
Those are big ones.
Yeah, but those are big ones.
Those
But when
are
you
all
think
big,
about
everything.
it, when a man is powerful politically and financially, what does he do? He goes and finds a woman that will match him or that he feels worthy of.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, guys,
So where don't you have power? Tell
where
me
don't
that.
I have power?
Men. Where do men not have power? I'm trying to figure out what the balance is. Financial and politics are huge. So,
They are
so talk
huge.
what is the thing?
They are huge out here in the
So just
world,
tell me
and
what the
then at
thing is that you
home,
don't
and
have
then at
power.
home, you go home, and then there's these expectations that you have to meet up to with your spouse.
So that's where you don't have power in your home? Is that what you're saying?
Sometimes, yeah. There's no power in the home. There's
No power, or you
not
don't
no
have
power.
as much power as you do outside, and you'd like to have more than you do in the home.
Well, it's not like about not liking to have more.
Okay.
It's. I think it's, what you said earlier about respect.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's where that comes, where that respect is like lacking.
Giving men a break, I think it just depends on if they have the capacity to come back and initiate that difficult conversation on their own, because the trajectory of your relationship is directly related to your capacity to have uncomfortable conversations.
I can't
And so if a
disagree with
woman says, I would love to talk about this, it's on my mind, and the man says, babe, can we talk about this tomorrow? You better be sure to bring that up tomorrow. Don't be like, well, maybe she forgot, because now you're disrespecting her.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there needs to be balance, and sometimes you just need to get over yourself and say, I don't know that I have the capacity, but let's start talking.
Well, that would be an authentic
my
conversation.
issue is peace is not always the way that things should
Right,
be in the
right,
house.
right.
Like this idea of be my peace, or I want peace. Peace happens because you worked through an issue sometimes.
You work through an
and
issue.
couples need practice learning
It's a
how to work
mutual
through it.
resolve.
It's not Hollywood, where you just at the end they go kissing and skipping down the hall.
Right.
There has to be practice, and if you don't use this as an opportunity to practice, it's not gonna make a difference.
I want to say this. I want to just throw myself in this conversation. I think people should respect friendship. I think friendship
Yeah.
is to the highest order.
Agreed.
And I think we sometimes
I agree with that.
overlook what it means to be friends. Like you meet a person, man or a woman, but in the interest, I happen to be interested in women in terms of intimacy. And so, I'm looking for friendship, right? And it doesn't necessarily always lead to intimacy or intimate relationship. Sometimes, and many times, in fact many of my ex-girlfriends are still my friends to this day. We're very good friends with their husbands or their boyfriends or not, whatever, because the friendship is what led us together in the first place. The commonalities, art, music, it could be on so many different topics, but I think people don't value friendship. They come to the table with a certain motive, whether trophy wife, just some ass. And listen, I've been guilty of it. I know this, from experience. But I do know that the value of a friendship, especially as I get older, it's to the highest order. It's king in my book. I mean, like, I can still be friends, and that way you get a better chance of representing yourself. You get a better chance of working and learning and growing together, growing apart. Sometimes things just don't work out.
Right.
And there's and that's fine too. I love you with or without me. It's all good. I want the best for you. It's not contingent on me having to be around you or be in your life all the time. And I think.
But don't you think that the issue with friendship, though, if a man is interested in you, and he's making that very clear,
Right.
that he has a romantic and sexual attraction to you, and you feel that, as I said, green flags take time, and you want to be friends, you always run the risk of this person not being able to see if you're friends before you're friend compatible, before you're
Because
sexually
the
compatible.
dick and pussy thing comes up
For
first.
sure.
Yeah, it can ruin things.
Both people need to be willing to wait. It can't just be one person saying wait, because then you're not growing as friends. You're always feeling like you're abandoning somebody's needs, right?
Right.
And so there's this energy, as you said, like, I mean, if she won't let me, why can't the man ever have any discipline in that? Do you know what I'm saying?
Well,
like,
I agree with you,
this
but
concept that most of your male friends know how to be your friends, but the second you let them know that they could, they're not going to be like, no. let's continue for 6 more months as friends. Let's see. I'll set my calendar for 90 days, and we'll see how we feel.
And women are wired a little differently.
Yeah.
Don't go nature nurture on me right
But
now.
it's true. It's true though.
Because guess what? Because guess what? Because guess what? It's a perk. It's the biggest of perks.
I gotta calm my
To your point about power.
Nah, it's true.
Why do you
It's
think
true.
I have those Instagram pictures on my?
Nah, but she's right though, because like friends, I've had friends before, but it's like let's say if your friend gained like 300 pounds or whatever like that, y'all still going to brunch every weekend? Probably not, because you're not pretty. No, we like being in company of pretty ass girls.
We are
bro.
visual.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah,
Are very
yeah.
visual.
Women are
It
visual
is.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it.
We don't get credit
Y'all
for
like
that.
what y'all
Yeah,
hear.
that's
too.
true.
because
Interesting.
there's a lot of men, and I'm 47, so let me just say most men my age are coming in and their keg has entered the room 5 minutes before they have.
Right.
Whoa.
And they have walked past several people and they beeline to whoever they think they deserve.
And they still come up to
And
you
then
and
they still say
It's that line.
they beeline past a bunch of people.
What's the line you said earlier
What?
that they come up to you and say?
Can't nobody get you, huh?
Can't nobody get you. I can see it. I saw the whole visual.
And the thing is that they want you to accept them for who they are. But you just passed 5, as you said, all these women who weren't good passable for you to go straight to the most attractive
Sure.
one. So you too have made a decision based
What do
on
you think
looks.
that is? What do you?
They
is
got
that
money or
society?
something.
Is that,
Well,
what is that?
I think there's this idea. I think a dog hair is mine, just so you know. That's why I'm doing this. But what's
Is it the
why?
conquering thing? Men just
Yes.
want to conquer.
Yeah.
Because you get the pussy, and then it's like,
Why don't you know? Why don't men know the answers to their own questions?
Bah!
Let's think about media. Let's think about media,
Yeah.
which you have some role in,
that
right?
plays- that
Who's
plays
in
a
charge
part.
of the media?
I,
Men.
Yeah.
Who's in
Well,
charge
white
of
men.
Who's, please don't do that. Oh my
Specific.
God. The black man urge to put it on white men when it don't work for them?
No,
That's
but-
what you just did.
No.
Look,
no.
it doesn't matter
No, but
because
white,
it doesn't
white
matter
men
because
did make this whole thing.
Let
There's
me
a
tell you-
thing called.
so in other countries,
The US,
in
America,
other countries like India,
Oh.
where they have the same thing where it's always a pretty girl, do you think are we blaming white
Well, I
men
think
then too?
historically men have always done that to women. I hate to say we have. We want to, leave it up to us. We want to just drag you around by your hair and do it to you when we want to.
Exactly.
And be like, sit right here. I'll be right back. When I come back.
So you answer your own question. You answer your own question where you're like, why do we do that? Because the patriarchy spares no one. You
Right.
too are a victim of the patriarchy. Everyone is. Even women who raise their sons to be better have to counter something.
Maybe God just made it that way.
Don't put it on God.
Okay.
I mean,
God damn. I need to know.
That's why if we can't talk about nature, then it kind of, I would understand what you're saying, but nature showed it to be a certain type of way, and I think that
What did it show it to be?
It showed it to be man, woman, child, like Father, Son, Holy Spirit, like it's in threes, like it's like
Yeah.
the man submit-
Nature showed it to be a
Yeah.
certain way. Tell me what
the
nature
way
showed again.
The way that
Oh, yeah,
I
don't
believe
give
it to
any
be
love.
shown is that man submits to
Right.
a higher power, creator, whatever you believe in. I believe in God, and I believe that since a woman finds a man that submits to a higher power, so she can understand that he won't do certain things that other men do that don't submit. So she'll submit to him, and then together they make a child. Every time I see,
Where, but I'm sure I don't. You can't continue. Why? How did nature show that? Show me where nature showed that.
'Cause
Because
that's
what
how
you're
we
saying
all
is that
got here.
atheist men can't be nice to women.
It's a male dog, by the way.
I don't. I can't, I don't
Because you
even-
said the man
yeah.
has to submit to a higher power, so women can trust the man. So atheists,
I think
by
that's
virtue of
I'm
that,
talking
can't be good men.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't. I do believe that atheists aren't good men. So I would say that if you don't believe in anything, you're not a good man to me. But if we were to talk generally, I would just say that a successful relationship, I feel like, comes from a place where you have a leader, you have somebody that helps the leader, and then you have the production that y'all create. I feel like women multiply, and I feel like men kind of lead. The way that's what my life.
And
has
you
showed
don't
me.
want a man to leave?
That's how my life showed me. Like that's what I mean about nature. The
I guess
opposite
yeah.
is always trash. Like the opposite is always like, damn, he's going through it. I always feel for the man in a situation where it's an opposite. So I'm just basically saying, and I feel for the woman. The woman in the opposite is always working hard as shit, handling her business, don't have no help or whatever like that, cosplaying or
Yeah.
whatever, and he's cosplaying as a woman. I feel like the dynamic is off. So I think that nature has something to do with that. Like,
But how? I'm trying to figure out how nature has something to do with that. You can't just say
Okay.
nature did it. That's your opinion.
Yeah.
But nature, we say hardwired in nature, and no one's even looked at as an evolutionary biologist here.
yeah, but what I'm basically saying, just to sum it all up, is that like I feel like there's a certain rhythm to the world. Like, and I feel like we weren't taught this rhythm. I feel like we just naturally moved to this rhythm. And when we pervert the rhythm, I think bad things happen. Like, I think that the more and more that we keep acting like everything is everything or whatever, and everybody can do whatever the fuck, I feel like we're going down into a dangerous place. And that's just my personal opinion.
I tend to agree with that.
Yeah.
And I would just say, in answering
has to be
the
some kind of
nature,
order.
the nature question.
It is. We feel it.
But the order you're dictating is one where you've defined who a leader is based on what? How do you define a leader?
Who takes the most responsibility
For?
if it falls down?
What
So
falls
if I'm in a
down?
relationship, with a woman, basically I'm just saying that if I'm in a relationship with a woman and something happens and we fall down and it's over, I'm gonna always get the blame for it. Like that.
I don't understand how in a relationship you're saying there's a leader and it should be the man. But what defines leadership? Because he does what? He's responsible for
everything.
I
He'll
think
die
that
for it.
He
Like,
takes the lead.
Yeah, he'll die. For
He
it.
Doing what?
takes the lead.
Doing what?
I mean, financially,
He
I was
should.
gonna say
Not-
he
yeah,
should. I was going to say
yeah.
emotionally, but
But we just discussed how y'all need time, so
right.
because she's trying to take the lead, but
Physically,
Well, I mean, yeah, that's debatable.
wow,
Trying to
tough
take the
crowd,
lead.
eh?
serious.
If your family was sleeping outside, right, no matter what the circumstances were, everyone's gonna come to Omar and be like, Omar, what the fuck is going on with your family? Why
Yeah.
are y'all outside?
Yeah.
No matter what happens.
not your wife.
Yeah, they're not.
Yes, they would come to the mother too.
I
They
don't
would
believe
come.
that.
They would.
I
They
don't
would come
believe
to the
that. Men
mother.
are coming to the
So
mother.
my experience is
The
that they
audience.
come to the mother
Men aren't
with
coming to the mother.
compassion and sympathy. They come to Omar with, what the fuck are you gonna
That's just
do?
facts. Like, that's just a fact.
I do think. I think that.
But that
you-
doesn't. But okay, can we just talk about really quickly? Can we just talk about how we got here?
Yeah.
Because men are the ones who decided what women can and cannot have, right? And then men fucked up the whole economy such that we now have to work.
So they
So
made
why are we
this
getting
whole
in
thing.
trouble for
Right.
fucking having to work and the whole dynamic being off? Maybe we were happy not having to do this. Two-income
I agree.
households were
I
never
agree.
something people were looking for in
I
life.
agree.
Well, that's what
I think-
Marianne Williamson is
I
talking
agree.
See,
about.
whoa,
That's
whoa,
kind
I
of changing
think-
the subject we're going.
I think people ought to be partners, and I think that everybody's role is equally just as important as the other. When a woman has a child, that's a hell of a job to do. I mean, you're responsible for another human being, just as important as any corporate job or running a business. And so I think all jobs, it's not about this hierarchy, and I think that's where we make the
Yeah,
mistake. And
I
I tend to
agree.
agree with you that let's see where this came from. I mean, men made it up, so it makes sense to us. But and then we go back and forth. We go, hey, stay at home and stay in bed, cook, and then we go, no, I want some help. We
And if
don't
you
know
want
what
to
we're
stay at home, if you say, I'm looking for a man who can stay at home, you're called a gold digger.
Right.
Nah, hell no. I
Yes,
don't-
you are.
Yeah, I know
Yes,
that's
you
true,
are.
but I don't agree with that.
But I
That's all I'm
think,
basically
listen,
saying.
it's like
That's
a
true, though. That's
partnership.
true.
If you wouldn't agree to go into a partner business where one person does 70% of the work and the other person
You
does
might,
30%,
but the equity then should follow.
then the equity should follow.
Yeah, I
And
agree
so
with
and that
that
needs
too.
to be discussed and talked about and agreed upon, and not just taken, for granted or just think that it's, given. And I think
Right.
many people go into these relationships and oftentimes get married and get children and start a life together without really having an understanding of what the two of them really either bringing to the table, what the two of them really are willing to
Who
bring
they
to
even
the
are.
Right.
Yeah, that's a
Who
fact.
who are
That's
you
a
really?
fact.
Right.
That's a fact.
And so I think it's this fairy tale, this image that we've created that I guess man might have.
Well, women participated.
Yeah. I mean, it worked. It worked on some level. It
And
has
it can
worked.
still
And
work.
Right. But I think it has to be a partnership. It can't just you take it for granted or you show up and people just. Because I think what happens a year or two down the road, or 5 years, or sometimes 10 years, kids, a house, and all this commitment, and people go, wait a minute. They sit in their driveway and they go, this is not what I really wanted. What am I doing? Oh, this doesn't feel good to me. And they don't, they're so far into it that they don't really, because of ego, because of circumstance, a whole bunch of stuff, they don't really get a chance to really authentically talk it out And by that time, there's a lot of resentment and people being pissed off at each other. So,
because the fantasy and the reality there's such a gap between the two
Sure.
that they can't reconcile that. And nobody wants to say what they're really thinking a lot of times in relationships. They don't want to say, I thought you'd be different. I thought it would go like this.
And that's key.
And then they harbor that oftentimes to keep the peace, which was not there. There's no peace. Yeah. There's a difference. When you have peace on the inside, you can deal with discussions. When you have war on the inside and you're trying to act like there's no problem, that's a bad situation.
And it's inauthentic.
I would rather have
bullshit.
peace on the inside and know that I can say however I feel, whatever I feel, and you can. But because we have peace, we can get through this because I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt.
Well, now, okay, so there's something in that. So you have peace on the inside, which would contribute to the confidence to say that. But then there's something externally that actually allows that to be in place, wouldn't you say? I mean, on both sides, right?
I was so busy watching him cuss his dog out, I didn't hear what you said.
Oh.
I'm sorry. He was doing that. I thought you were going to take your shoe off and throw it at him. Sorry.
No.
He knows he's wrong.
Sorry, say that one.
No. Oh God! Now I lost my train of thought. What I'm asking is, creating an environment in which saying what you authentically want to say is okay. Exactly.
But you have to be okay with the fact that someone's going to emote. Do you see what I'm saying? Some people don't say anything because they're worried that the emotions that someone will have, they don't want to experience those emotions. But guess what? You said what you said. Let me have my response. Let me get it through it. That's right. Because your stoicism, your stonewalling is also an emotion. Yeah. It's not that I'm getting emotional because I cry. You're also emotional because you're stoic. You stonewall and you say, I'm cool for 5 days. No, I'm fine. What you want to eat? When you do that, that's you dealing with your emotions. That's how you manifest yours. This is how I manifest mine. At least mine are matching what I actually feel.
Right.
And sometimes men get mad that my emotions, I feel, are matching what you see on the outside. Right. And you're like, can you just mask that and not show what you feel on the inside to make me more comfortable with this conversation? Right. That's what I'm being asked to do.
Well, there's another way of asking that question.
And then 5 years from now, the ice cream is wrong, and you're screaming. You're like, this is not about the ice cream.
Wait a minute. But I think that there's another way of doing that, too, and that is because oftentimes I'll find myself asking, what is it that you want? Like, that's a straight conversation. It helps to, and I'm not saying to mask the emotion. You can feel the emotion, even express the emotion. Mm-hmm. I'm pissed at you right now. I hate you right now. Got it. What do you want?
Right.
That.
But just because you have a need, let me just get at your what do you want? Why are you asking that? Because you want to hurry up and resolve this? She don't know yet. She needs time.
I mean, that's fine.
Just because you ask what you want, it doesn't mean she has to know in that moment or be in a place to answer you.
But I'm of the belief that she's aware of there's a missing. Okay. And she can at least speak to the missing, maybe not knowing what she wants, but she can at least speak to the missing. That helps.
But in the same way that you said you need space, See, this is a contradiction to what you said before. You said that woman on the Instagrams was speaking on behalf of men because sometimes a man needs space when a woman is ready to talk about emotions. And now you're saying we can get farther if you would just tell me what you want, but she might need space for that. So how come
That's fine. That's fine. And I feel like she should take some accountability or responsibility and say, I can't talk about it right now, and I know that I'm mad at you.
Okay, but you just said that would help us move along. So you have an expectation to get the answer because men sometimes want to fix it.
Okay.
And women sometimes just want to feel what we're feeling right now.
That's
so
true.
She's talking about, I just want to feel what we feel. You're like, but what's the answer so we can get out of this?
Well,
I just want to feel.
I can. Okay, and you're right about that. That is 100% true. That's how it is.
Yeah, because men don't want to deal with a bag full of emotions sometimes.
But why not? This is why the patriarchy spares no one. Because if you could deal with a bag of emotions, sometimes she wants you to be able to have this conversation. I was married for 20 years and I just wanted to have the conversation. For 20 years, I wanted to have the conversation. I didn't want to be like, when's this going to be over? It was almost like algebra or something. Right. I think they would rather do algebra. Solve for X. At least there's an answer at the goddamn hand. Jesus Christ.
Well, most people.
Okay, wait a minute. So what's the middle ground? Because there has to be a middle ground. Because what I'm hearing right now is either or. That's what I'm hearing. It's like someone has to give in order for
Everybody
this.
has to give a little bit, but you have to be willing to understand what your state of mind is, and as you said, clearly explain that to somebody and give the time to do it. Conversations like this need to be scheduled at the right time, just like everything else. You know, you schedule a time when the baby cannot be around people because she's too loud. She's going to be, nope, not now. This is the witching hour.
Right.
Don't come over.
Doesn't work.
You all know when your witching hours are, like, I can't do this now, and say, but I want us to talk about this. When's a good time? Let's make our date night a conversation when we're really calm and able to do this. When it's not about it, something that just happened and you're freaking out about, I went in the car and there's no gas. You know what? That's not what this is about. So that's not a good time to have the conversation. So the middle ground can be had if you treat it like an important part of the relationship that needs to be attended to and loved and coddled, and schedule at a time when you can be in a place to do it.
I agree with that. And I also agree with being responsible for what you communicate. Because, okay, this is what I was alluding to before. Women have the power of speech and have very powerful tongues. And their tongues are influential. Whereas men, yeah, they have politics and money, but women's voices are heard and they resonate. And it started with our mothers, quite honestly. Yeah, we grew up to become mega moguls, but mom never quits, never dies. Her voice is always there. And you know who reverberates that voice? You do.
Yeah.
When you come in our lives, you have taken her place in a sense. Not as a mother, maybe as a nurturer,
but as a woman who we care about,
as a woman who we care about, and thus
it's not
and
too
thus,
many of those.
exactly,
In my life.
a woman, and
So
thus
she has to give
by
me
the
a
act
certain
of us
type of,
caring, your words hurt.
Yeah.
The words yeah.
I understand that fully, but I just want to say
And
that
so
is very
in
true.
that there's power.
That not only is that true, but a lot of women don't recognize that they have that power.
Oh,
It's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. They should recognize it.
yeah, and that's what.
When a woman feels powerless in a space because the man won't talk, they say more. Or the man talks in a way to get out of having to get to what they're... You know when somebody's masking something, so you get more verbose about it. Because you're like, I know you're not saying what you really want to say because you want to keep the peace. So then they say things to provoke a response. I'm not saying it's right. You're right. You're right. It's not right. But it's the both and. It's the stoicism because she's going to say something's going to hurt me. Fuck this.
Yeah.
And they're like, she's like, why? What are you hiding? What are
No,
you hiding?
I've-
and it's this poking the bear situation.
Oh,
Getting
yes.
squealed.
All right. it's a
Thank you,
real pleasure.
everyone, for joining
Thank you.
us on another episode
Yeah,
of
you
Not Your
lucky
Common
listeners. I hope you enjoyed that one.
You lucky listeners. Stay
That was a
tuned. Check
good
us
one.
out on
YouTube and Apple Podcasts, and
Spotify.
Spotify Podcasts,
And wherever you get
anywhere
your
you get your podcasts.
Take
Come
care.
check us out. Thank you and good night. Thanks. How was that for you?